Good afternoon. My name is Andy Hallman. Later, we'll hear about the Maharishi School girls tennis team blasting Notre Dame in its season opener. But first, today's top stories. The Washington School Board held its first public hearing last week for the district's fiscal year 2025 budget proposal, which would bump property tax levy totals about 13 cents. The district's tax rate would rise from just over $16.01 to about $16.14 per $1,000 of taxable valuation. The change is expected to bring in a little over $750,000. Much of the increase comes from a re-implementation of the district's cash reserve levy, a tax that's been untapped in recent years while the schools maintained adequate cash on hand. But after gradual degradation of that fund, Superintendent Willie Stone said the levy was back in effect for the newly proposed budget. If approved, the tax increase would bring the district's cash reserve up to $1.9 million. Stone said the rest of the 13-cent increase would go to special education programs. At a public hearing for the change last week, Washington area residents said they understood the district's need for money, but several said they were still skeptical of the potential tax hike. Longtime Washington resident Dave Miller said he did not think taxpayers would accept an increase, urging school officials to cut spending rather than raising revenue. Resident Larry Merrick said he was all for public education, but worried about the ripple effects of higher property taxes. The next public hearing for the proposed budget is Wednesday, April 10th. Washington County Supervisors have confirmed that Scott Hughes won the special election for the Brighton City Council. Hughes is finishing the term of former council member Dave McArthur, who resigned a few months ago. Hughes was a write-in candidate for the position. Locals say the candidate intended to get his name on the ballot, but failed to do so when his paperwork was improperly submitted. Hughes, a former mayor and council member, did not immediately reply to a voicemail requesting comments Wednesday morning. The official election results showed a slightly greater margin of victory for Hughes than appeared at first glance. Hughes led the unofficial results published on election night by just 2 votes against incumbent Kathy Rich, who was appointed to take McArthur's place. But county supervisors found several write-in ballots that misspelled Mr. Hughes's name when they canvassed the outcome Tuesday morning. The final tally showed that Hughes had won the election by 7 votes, 64 to 57. Jeff Batty resigned from the Mount Pleasant City Council last week in anticipation of his retirement from teaching. Batty plans to move closer to family at the end of the school year. After serving 6 years on the Mount Pleasant City Council, Batty says he turned in his resignation because he plans to retire after 31 years of teaching in Iowa on May 31st. And while he is excited that his retirement means he will be able to move closer to his family, including his granddaughter, he will miss Mount Pleasant. Batty said he and his family have lived in Mount Pleasant for 24 years and that they have put down deep roots in that time. Batty majored in political science and history at Iowa State and later obtained a master's in education from Viterbo University. As a child, Batty dreamed of becoming the president, and while that goal has not come to fruition, Batty said he is content that at least he won an election. Before his career in the Mount Pleasant School District, Batty taught for 2 years in Alaska and for 7 years in Winfield Mount Union. In his current role in Mount Pleasant, Batty teaches economics and government to juniors and seniors. He has also taught world events and religions, ancient civilizations, and U.S. history. The City Council plans to wait until the end of May before filling Batty's seat. The Henry County Board of Supervisors have approved an additional deputy position in the Henry County Sheriff's Office, which will perform the duties of a school resource officer. Henry County Sheriff Rich McNamee asked the board to reconsider its initial denial of a 13th deputy and school resource officer. The supervisors told McNamee they would gather additional information, and this week the board voted to approve the additional officer. McNamee told the board that his request for the additional deputy is coming from the new London Community School District asking to make their current part-time school officer full-time next year, as well as Winfield Mount Union requesting a part-time school officer beginning next year. New London Superintendent Chad Walls and Winfield Mount Union Principal Gage Gill spoke to the supervisors in support of adding the deputy that would enable their school resource officers' needs to be filled. For both Gill and Walls, having a school resource officer means more than protecting against school shootings. It means educating students and providing a proactive approach to addressing problems before they escalate. Outdoor enthusiasts can start loading their RVs because the camping season is upon us. Jefferson County Conservation has opened its two main campsites, Jefferson County Park, just southwest of Fairfield, and Maccoon Access, north of Lockridge, to self-contained camping. Jefferson County Conservation Director Sean Morrissey said he hopes to have the bathrooms ready at Jefferson County Park by the end of April. The county's other campsite, Round Prairie Park, 9 miles southeast of Fairfield, is open for primitive camping. The county removed its water and utility access a few years ago as a cost-saving measure because the park was seldom used. Jefferson County campers will have another campsite to look forward to next year. Jefferson County Conservation announced last year that it had received a state grant to build a new 14-stall campground on the east side of Jefferson County Park. The new campsite will be accessible from Key Boulevard and should be ready for the public by next summer. Morrissey said construction on the campsite is about to begin any day. The new 10-acre campsite will be called Jefferson County Prairie Ridge Campground and was made possible after the Conservation Department learned it had received a $450,000 grant from the state of Iowa, which will cover about 39% of the project's cost of $1.17 million. Though this new campground will be close to Jefferson County Park, the two campsites won't be connected by a road, at least not at first. Morrissey said the Conservation Department eventually wants to connect the two campsites, but that's not part of this project's budget. The stalls in Jefferson County Prairie Ridge Campground will have full hookups, including electricity, water, and sewer, so a camper can connect the bathroom in their RV directly to the sewer line at the campground. Those are today's top stories. We'll take a short break, and when we return, we'll hear about the Maharishi School girls tennis team and its match against Notre Dame.
Federation Bank is a locally owned bank providing award-winning customer service. We believe that we are more than just a federation of banks, but a federation of communities, serving Brighton, Richland, Wellman, and Washington, Iowa. Federation Bank's highly skilled staff is here to make sure you are able to accomplish your personal and professional goals, whatever they may be. Federation Bank, your family bank.
Hello and welcome back to Newsbreak. This is your sports editor, Andy Krutzinger, with your sports report for Thursday, April 4th, 2024. And as has been happening the last couple of weeks, spring weather has wreaked havoc on the local sports scene. We're supposed to have a big day of sports on Tuesday. That didn't happen. Everything got canceled except for one thing in the Union coverage area. The Fairfield Maharishi girls tennis team is back in full force, and they are ready to roll, and a 9-0 win over the Notre Dame Nikes on Thursday at Poonch Tennis Center. The Pioneers pretty well dominated the singles matches. Ishida Mukadam, Pooja Mukadam, and Ria Tinska Ross all won their matches 8-0. That's the number 1, 2, and 3 singles matches. Dyra Vols picked up a singles win. Joyce Wong picked up a singles win, and Aparajita Kara also picked up a singles win. And then those 6 were spread out in the number 1, number 2, and number 3 doubles. They all won. The closest games in those were an 8-5 singles win at the number 5 for Joyce Wong, and an 8-5 doubles win at number 2 for Vols and Wang. So it was a domination for the Maharishi Pioneers. They should have a pretty darn good girls tennis team this year. Boys-wise, the Maharishi and Fairfield boys tennis teams playing together as the Trojans this year. It's a co-op. Tonight, Thursday, as long as the weather holds up, we got a track meet at Washington, Case Field in Washington, and it is a boy-girl track meet, a busy one for the Union coverage area, as Fairfield, Highland, Hillcrest Academy, Mount Pleasant, and Waco will all be at Case Field. Again, co-ed track meet that starts at 3:30 p.m. Pretty soon after this news break comes out, actually. The golf teams are spread around. Boys golf is scheduled to be at Schaefer Memorial Golf Course in Fort Madison, but that is already up in the air. I see it right now, possibly canceled tonight. The girls are still on as of now, and that will be at Fairfield at Fairfield Golf and Country Club. And those are SEC meets, which means the Southeast Conference teams, which of course include Mount Pleasant, Washington, and Fairfield, will all be going against each other. Those are regular season SEC meets. They'll play at every single SEC town before the year is over. There's some big stuff going on the soccer field tonight and tomorrow. The Mount Pleasant Fairfield soccer rivalry will be making its 2024 debut. Boys soccer at Eastlake Park in Mount Pleasant tonight at 4:30. And then girls soccer tomorrow, Friday, in Fairfield at Fairfield High School. And that will be at 5 p.m. Washington boys and girls soccer teams play today. They will be taking on Burlington. The girls teams, varsity, will be at Burlington at 7 o'clock at Bracewell Stadium. And the varsity boys at 5 o'clock will be at Bracewell Stadium. Those were originally going to be split. The girls were supposed to be in Washington, no longer. So they're playing both those at Bracewell. That's a doubleheader in the SEC, and there are no JV matches now for those. The girls were supposed to have a home JV match. That's canceled, and the boys are supposed to have a home JV match. That's canceled, all because of the weather and because getting this doubleheader in. And there should be a little tennis going on today. Mount Pleasant girls tennis at home against Fort Madison. Mount Pleasant boys tennis on the road against Fort Madison. Fairfield girls tennis will be on the road at Burlington. So if you're there to watch the Washington soccer teams, head on over to Dankworth Park, watch a little tennis on the girls' side. And then the boys tennis teams for Fairfield will be playing against Burlington. All of those are 4:30 p.m. starts. Be sure to pick up a Southeast Iowa Union. We've got a story about Washington's Chase Greiner, who has signed to become a Central College wrestler in Pella. We've got the schedules for the upcoming Final Four in college basketball. The women's Final Four, quick turnaround, starts tomorrow night, Friday night. South Carolina and NC State will start things off at 6 p.m. And then the Iowa Hawkeyes at 8 p.m. will be taking on UConn. The two winners of that will play on Sunday, and then national championship game. If Iowa can get there, that's their second national championship appearance in a row, and hopefully it would go a little better than last year. On the boys' side, on the men's side, I should say, on Saturday at 5:09 p.m., Purdue will be taking on NC State, and right after that, we'll have UConn and Alabama, and the winners of those games will play in the men's championship on Monday night. We've already had a projected winner in the Southeast Iowa Union Men's Bracket Challenge with Mike Wilson, and he's also winning the women's. So congratulations already, Mike, on your potential double championship. We'll bring you the full standings of that on Southeast Iowa Union Sports Talk on Tuesday. That's all the sports for today, though. We have obituaries with Alex when you get back.
In the heart of rural Iowa, where community matters most, the connections we make are made to last. Meet KCTC, your hometown internet, phone, and TV provider. At KCTC, we're not just about technology, we're about people. Our dedicated team are your neighbors, committed to bringing you top-tier services right where you live. We believe in giving back to the community that raised us. Experience the power of a real connection with KCTC. Join us in building a stronger, more connected Southeast.
Hello and welcome back to Newsbreak. It is now time for your obituaries. Mendel Lucille Boasthart of Wayland passed away on March 30th at the age of 105. A visitation will be held at 2 to 6 p.m. April 4th at the Olson Powell Chapel and Crematory. Louis Unkrich of Swainsburg passed away on March 25th at the age of 99. A funeral service will be held at 11 a.m. on April 12th at the Swainsburg Evangelical Lutheran Church. Marie Louise Ida Carlson of Washington passed away on March 22nd at the age of 100. Celebration of Life services will be held at 9:30 a.m. April 27th at the United Presbyterian Home. Robert Al Lynn of Aiken, South Carolina passed away on March 31st at the age of 91. Celebration of Life services will be held 11 a.m. April 5th at the Ainsworth Community Church. Ruth Melinda Sayer of Omaha, Nebraska passed away on April 1st at the age of 82. Celebration of Life services will be held at 1 p.m. April 6th at the Jones and Eden Funeral Home. Carolyn Lau Millard of Stockport passed away on March 29th at the age of 81. Keith Oliver Pratt of Birmingham passed away on April 1st at the age of 95. Funeral services will commence at 10:30 a.m. on April 6th at the Cranston Family Funeral Home in Fairfield. That is your news from Southeast Iowa. I've been your host, Alex Snyder. This has been your news break, and I will see you